Momentum after the reaction, by Krishna's mercy.
Mahatmanastu ma parth. Devi prakritim ashritaya. Bhajante ananya manso. Gyatva bhutadim avyayam.
Quote, O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, 9.13.
One of the central principles to the Bhakti Yoga standard is this idea of stopping karma. Karma is fruitive activity, working in such a way that causes future development of the body. A person can view the consequences as positive or negative, but the viewpoint is really immaterial, no pun intended. Devotional service is like karma-free living. That is one benefit to eating prasadam. Eat only whatever is left over after sacrifice. It doesn't have to be a grand ceremony with hundreds of attendees. A modest offering within the home is sufficient. The idea is that you are doing everything for God instead of yourself. You are doing everything to please His senses, Hrishikesh, instead of your own. You do not mind what will happen to you personally, as a result. If you have to give up behaviors and experiences that were previously enjoyable, that is a sacrifice you are willing to make. On the other side, the devotee is supposed to be protected by a different kind of energy. I believe there is a specific Bhagavad-gita verse which confirms this. By following Bhakti Yoga, you are no longer within the jurisdiction of the material energy, which is harsh, cruel, and pays no attention to your desperate pleas to stay even 5 minutes longer in your current situation. The science is sound. The principles make sense. However, where is the visual evidence of this change in energy? How is a person supposed to believe that they are suddenly under the control of the divine energy? Bad things still happen. There is suffering. There might be heartache. There may be physical injury. Just see the suffering of the Pandavas, for instance.
His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada makes the comparison to the electric fan. When operating properly and connected to a source of power, the blades spin around. The fan has a connection to a specific kind of energy. The spinning of the blades is like the reaction in karma. If you disconnect the power source, the fan continues to spin. It is the momentum due to the initial reaction. However, the spinning does not mean that the fan is still connected to power. It may take some time to remove the residual reactions. In the same way, when a devotee experiences negative consequences, they accept it as the mercy of Bhagavan. They see it as a reaction to something they did prior to accepting the shelter of Krishna. Even when in the midst of experiencing the reaction, they soberly assess the situation as being less intense due to the change in consciousness. We have the example of Arjuna in Bhagavad-gita. Under Krishna's direct guidance, Arjuna proved himself to be the most capable fighter on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna was instrumental in the victory of the Pandava side. There was no longer an attachment to victory or defeat. Arjuna worked for Krishna. His fighting valiantly was not karma. He ended up victorious, but the outcome did not matter. His life in devotion would continue. We see that years later Arjuna suffered a humiliating defeat. He could not protect queens against a band of dacoits. This was also the mercy of Krishna. The same source of Arjuna's strength was also the reason behind the lack of it, at a different time. The change in consciousness is more substantial than the momentum after disconnecting from karma. That is to say, whatever happens to a person within the manifest realm is not as important as their connection to the Supreme Consciousness. That is the true test to see if karma has been removed. Does the devotion continue? Is there bliss and joy in serving the Almighty? Is there constant thought in His direction? Does it feel as if He is never far away? Is there allegiance to the level of an immovable boulder, wherein the servant knows that nothing will take them away from their new, eternal life of dedicated work? In closing, after promise to stop sinning, blades in fan still spinning, result from work originally done, but in bhakti karma none. Test from consciousness made, whether still instructions obeyed. After higher or lower going, only Krishna's shelter knowing.